Clark to win everything. It's a magic bird thing, back and forth. If Angel Reese wins Rookie of the Year, good for her. I like the back and forth. But I just want to tell you that Caitlin Clark last night had 19 assists in a game to set a league record. She's a rookie on a bad team. She has scored or assisted on 66 points, 71% of the Fever's points. That's the most ever in league history. She's breaking records every week. So part of the silliness of not allowing her on the Olympic team is she was a very quickly improving player, and now you kind of look silly. She's arguably the best playmaker in the league, arguably the second best three-point shooter in the league. I don't know. They seem valuable in Olympic competition, and she's not on the team. But yesterday, they also announced the skills competition for the WNBA All-Star team, and she didn't make that either. She didn't make the three-point shooting contest? So you argued she wasn't good for the Olympics. Your argument, though I don't buy it, but it was your argument, women's basketball, that she would be a distraction. I roll, but okay. So isn't the perfect place to put her in the skills competition, where she's one of the best three-point shooters, and she's a highly skilled player? So now what is it? Pettiness, gatekeeping, insular, dumb? If you're not going to put her in the Olympics, oh, you're 0 for 1. Now you're not putting her in the skills competition. She quadrupled the ratings. Nobody's going to watch that skills competition. They would have, highlighting Clark and other players. Thank God the WNBA didn't go 0 for 3. They did find it in their heart to put her on the WNBA All-Star team. But she'll probably be at the end of the bench and struggle to get minutes, I would imagine. But, I mean, it's almost hard rooting for women's basketball. You're like, it cracks me up how they treat her. If you really think about it, they're trying to get her to pay her dues, but she's the one paying all the fees. She's the reason you're flying private. She's paying for everything, and you want her to pay her dues. It's really ridiculous. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but Bird and Magic came into the league, and they put them on everything. They tried to highlight them because the NBA was more secure in itself. They understood Bird and Magic could elevate all the players, the league, the revenue, the pie, the pettiness. You got to get her in the skills competition. What are you doing? You should have her on the Olympic team. What are you doing? Last night, we got 19 assists. Here she is on setting the record.
I just try to set my teammates up for success. I think at times, I can almost overpass, and that can maybe, I don't know. There probably could have been a few times where instead of passing that leads to turnover that I might have, I can probably shoot the ball. But especially with AB, I'm just looking to set her up so much. My eyes are just always on our post players.
By the way, you know who was in the dunk contest his rookie year? Michael Jordan. They got Michael Jordan in the dunk contest. He didn't have to pay his dues. Everybody was like, get that kid in the dunk contest. Oh, WNBA. I mean, for years and years, you wanted all this attention. We finally pay it. You have somebody that can absolutely, as a catalyst, get you more attention. And you're now very precious. You're experts. Insula. Gatekeeping. You're exhausting. Exhausting. And I wore my optimistic shirt today. You wore your dynamic beach optimism shirt. And here I got to come in with a hammer again today. New NBA rule. More Caitlin Clark always. Skills, Olympics, All-Star, more Caitlin.
This is back-to-back days where you've come in with a hammer to open the show.
I don't like
is the heat getting to you out here? What's going on? Goodness. Do we need to take some more time off? I mean, whew.
So it's just, yesterday, Bronny James actually hit a couple jumpers yesterday. And,
the crowd went.
On the Olympic team. That's going to be in Paris. It's going to be in Paris about a week or two. Right. We're going to have the Olympics. And so he got these games yesterday against Serbia. And Embiid had the worst plus-minus of any player for Team USA. And Embiid, France wanted him on their team. Everybody fought hard for him, right? And he goes. Anthony Davis, by the way, has been very subtle about even being included. His quote was about the Olympics, "I'd be happy to play if I'm asked." And he has been an absolutely dominant figure when he's been on the floor. But I've said this for years. Because the NBA is very much into aesthetics and style, I get lectured for years about players. Carmelo Anthony is unbelievable. He was a terrible defender, never in elite shape, a complete isolation player, very few assists, never made a teammate better, didn't do squat in the playoffs. I was told Derrick Rose was going to dominate the league. A highly efficient shooter, more turnovers than I'd like, and hurt all the time. I'm sorry, he's not going to physically dominate the league. I was told Westbrook's an MVP. I thought he was a stat patter. Bad hands, can't shoot for a guard, hyper athletic, but played one speed and often out of control. My eyes did not tell me that Westbrook was an MVP and Carmelo was an absolutely dominant player or Derrick Rose was going to run the league. And my eyes are telling me the same for years with Joel Embiid. I'm not denying he's got a Shaq feel to him. But Shaq won in the playoffs. Shaq was dominant when it mattered. I'm watching this Olympic stuff. Embiid gets in the way of the offense. Anthony Davis doesn't. Hell, Anthony Davis took 2 shots yesterday and was the second most dominating player in the game to Steph Curry. He is literally jumps off the television set. And here's the thing I like about AD, and we've seen this for years in Los Angeles. He can be a star and dominate a game, but he's also an incredibly complementary player. He elevates LeBron. LeBron doesn't have to worry about defending the rim. He can be a player on this Olympic team, or he can dominate moments. With Embiid, there is no complementary to his game. He forces you to play his style. And so does Steph Curry, but I get 4 titles. And so did LeBron, but I got 8 straight finals. With Embiid, he forces you to play his game, but I don't get the payoff at the end of the season. He gets in the way of the Olympic offense, and I find sometimes watching Philadelphia, yes, he's productive. So was Zach LaVine, and the Bulls can't give him away. So was Carmelo Anthony and Westbrook. They didn't win in the playoffs. If you're talking about the greatest bigs of all time, Russell, titles, Kareem, titles, Shaq, titles, Akeem, titles, Embiid can't win a second-round playoff series in the weaker conference. So, again, I'm willing to sacrifice things. LeBron does this a little. You got to kind of build your team around LeBron. But in his prime, so what? I'm going to the finals. Steph Curry, you're going to build some stuff, and you're going to have to sacrifice a little defense with Steph Curry. All right, I'm getting to like 5, 6 finals. I got 4 rings. I don't get the payoff for Embiid. Once again, you're lecturing me on how great he is. Well, greatness in the NBA is May and June. Who gives a rip about January in Cleveland? I want May and June success. I get it with Steph. Like Magic Johnson wasn't a great defender, but I got the payoff. He elevated everybody around him. Magic could play center. He could play guard. He could do anything. Embiid, to me, is a great productive talent, but he's closer to the Westbrook, Carmelo, where I get all this productivity. I'm lectured on how great he is. I'm not sure he elevates anybody. Like Carmelo, you had to kind of run the offense around him. He was kind of a rigid player, but he was an isolation player, a bit of a hole if you gave him the ball, and he couldn't defend. Well, again, there's limitations to how much I'm going to sacrifice in life. I got to get a payoff in the end. Right? So I'm watching this stuff. I'm watching Serbia, USA, Australia, USA. Embiid is not as dominant a player, as important a player, as complimentary a player as Anthony Davis. And I don't think it's relatively close. So, I've said this, that I think Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark, the rivalry is great. I don't need Caitlin Clark.